The video is anime tropes that need to go. Sob emoji, peace emoji. Video by Nenjuno.
You're acting like you're possessed or something.
Oh, hell no, man.
Tropes are defined as another way of saying something is recurring, cliche, or in many cases, straight up corny. And as much as people love anime, myself included, it is so easy for people who don't really watch it to just absolutely shit on it. And honestly, you and I—
Okay, I feel like you could say that about anything though. Like any art form, if you detach yourself from the fan base or the art form, you can look at it with a jaded lens and say, oh no, this trope is common in this art form, therefore this shit is ass. You know what I mean? Ignoring the context of the tropes, ignoring all of the works that don't use these tropes. You know what I mean? And so even if anime does have its tropes, that's like, bro, what? You know what I mean? I feel like the reason these tropes, if we're talking about discarding tropes, the reason shouldn't be because it looks bad from the outside. It should be because the shit is genuinely ass. You know what I'm saying? You can make anything stupid if you word it correctly. Exactly. It's like if you read the lyrics, you can read the lyrics of the most beautifully written song of all time. But if you read the lyrics like this, then go to the next line like this, you can make it sound ass just by removing it from the context. And so I feel like if we go and talk about removing tropes, bruh, we gotta at least approach, the tropes in context and ask ourselves if we're removing these tropes because they're genuinely ass, or if we're removing these tropes because, niggas will say it's ass. You know what I mean? Like, I think an equivalent I always think of, it's like from the outside looking in, I love hip hop music. I love rap music. Y'all hear the music I be playing on stream. From the outside looking in, there is plenty of critiques that can be leveraged towards that type of music and some of the themes it promotes. Same can be said about anime. Same can be said about pop music. You can call it vapid. Same can be said about comics. Same can be said about anything. And so, like, I feel like we got to look at these tropes critically. But I feel like we got to look at these tropes critically as fans.
I can't even blame them, bro. Because if you take a second to ignore all the aura farming, the insane animation, and the amazing story—
like, for example, that shit he just named, aura farming and insane animation, those are tropes. Those are tropes. There are niggas who look at anime, niggas being me, okay? There are niggas who look at the aura farming and go, yeah, this shit kind of lame, bro. And don't get me wrong, I love a cool aura moment, but the way they be shoehorning those aura moments, bro, just look at my nigga Keyfree. We're about to watch Witch Hat Atelier in 20 or so minutes. That nigga be forcing the farm. And I don't think aura farming is a bad trope, but that's what I'm saying. Someone from the outside could easily look in and say, oh no, anime is carried by aura farming and good animation, and they don't have storytelling. And a lot of people do see anime that way. I'm not going to say we cast out all aura farming. I'm just saying we got to approach all of these tropes. We have to at least try to approach all these tropes in good faith.
or whatnot. Some of these tropes that be in a lot of these anime make you go, damn, this shit weird as hell. Ah, hell nah. And these same tropes are some of the reasons people stray away from wanting to watch anime in the first place. So today we gonna be talking about tropes, whether it's characters, messages, or plots from anime that need to be left behind in 2025. And we gonna start off with a heavy hitter, folks. I'm finna drill this shit out the park. The first one I'm gonna talk about are over-the-top anime girl voices. Now this—
Okay. Yeah, I can kind of get behind that one. It's a double-sided coin with that. Because look, if we're going to here's my argument for why this has to stay. Because this shit does annoy me. Oh my God, every single girl in anime, every single woman in anime expressing themselves. Like, come on, bro. It's like, relax. But it's like at the same time, if you take that out, you have to that's like taking out the energy of— if you take that energy out, you have to take out the energy of your MC screaming their attack. You can't scream Detroit Smash no more. You can't, you know what I mean? You can't scream Kamehameha. You can't scream Rasengan. That's the same shit. If you're gonna remove like that over the top expressiveness, you gotta go across the board. And that's why I think it has to stay. Because if you do this, if you have to apply the logic to shit you like. You know what I mean? This is how I approach this shit. This is really what I've been trying to say. You have to apply the logic to shit you like and see if it's still, if the argument still stands. Bro is saying he don't fuck with the over the top anime girls. I agree. I don't either. That's not how I'm used to people expressing themselves. You know, most women from where I'm around, where I'm from, like the States, they don't speak in that super high register, whatever. But at the end of the day, anime is an inherently, and I'll say this with my full chest, a lot of niggas don't like to admit this. Anime is an inherently over the top, corny medium. That's just how it is. And I don't say corny as a what do you call it, pejorative. I don't say corny against it. That's just how it is. That's some of what makes it great. The fact that a nigga could go, I'm gonna be king of the pirates, and the story takes it dead serious, that's tough. I think one of the problems we have in a lot of Western media now is that, like, you know what I mean? Niggas are scared to exaggerate. You know, everyone want to be cool and ironic. Niggas are afraid to really put their heart out there. And so I feel like, I know a couple of people who don't like dub and only like sub, because when you watch dub, you have to, and this is like, it's like half and half, right? Because some dubs are bad, okay? But that's becoming less and less of a problem as more money is getting flown through anime in the West. A lot of people don't like dub because it forces you to really fully process how exaggerated this shit is and how over the top this shit is. You know what I mean? If you're watching some shit in Japanese, you can kind of like, you're not familiar with the language. Welcome to the stream, Euphoria. If you're watching this shit in sub, you're not familiar with the language, and you know what I mean? You can kind of ignore and overlook how over the top this shit can really be. If you're watching anime in dub, nah, bro. You get to hear how different the way anime characters express themselves is from how real people express themselves. Yo, why has 𝙏𝙖𝙡𝙠 just been staring at me on this screen the whole time? Yo, if y'all can see my POV right now, I have 3 separate images of 𝙏𝙖𝙡𝙠 staring at me. All that to say, I don't think we could take the screaming anime girls out. All right. I feel like if you niggas don't want screaming anime girls, you gotta really lock in. You gotta dig deep. You gotta find some shit below the surface, because there's plenty of anime girls and women that express themselves in very realistic ways in their respective dubs and subs. It's just not going to be the main shows that float to the top. Anywho.
Trope gotta be some of the most unnecessary bullshit to ever exist. Like, bro, this trope is the equivalent of the motherfuckers that'll do some bullshit while you are around the huzz. They're always doing too much for no reason. No matter what they are doing, no matter what the circumstance. Some of these anime girls have this annoying ass high-pitched voice that sounds like they were a newborn fetus. And twin, the thing that absolutely boggles my mind is...
I agree with everything he's saying. But by that same vein, if you want to take out the over-the-top, high-pitched anime girl voices, like I said, you gotta take out your edgy, flat, anime dude voices that niggas love. Oh, he's such a farmer. The same shit that niggas glaze, that's the other side of the same coin. All right, this is the coin right here. That's the other side of it. So you gotta hold that same energy for the shit you like too and see if it holds up.
When they are always making sounds that sound like they are getting absolutely drilled, when in reality, they're just doing a regular ass activity like mixing a bowl of salad or something. Like, twin, I see this shit.
Also, I feel like that's really only certain anime, and that's starting to leave. That's starting to leave anyway. Like there's a specific type of anime where that's the thing. Like if you watching Rent a Girlfriend, that's your fault. You're not gonna watch Rent a Girlfriend and then get mad at me based off what you watching, bruh. But I feel like that, like over the top, like anime girl noises, that shit isn't even like really like in the mainstream no more. Like most of the big animes don't really do that. And if they do it, it's so subdued compared to where it used to be. It's not even that deep in my opinion. I do agree with everything he's saying though. It is an annoying trope. I just don't think it's that present anymore.
All the time in anime, and I genuinely don't understand the appeal about a literal tea kettle speaking for like 24 minutes straight. They also gasp at almost every
Okay, I will say though, we got to open a dialogue we got to open a dialogue on the I'm gonna let it slide.
Convenience whenever they trip, and the moan they let out whenever anybody makes any friendly physical contact that's not rated R whatsoever genuinely pisses me off.
Okay, I do think though, we do have to talk about why this is a thing, right? Because I feel like if you ignore why this is a thing, you basically, a lot of the reason that this is a thing is because it's an animated medium, right? Anime characters have to be over exaggerated with things like vocal expressions, because especially if you're on a limited budget, you can only express so much in animation, right? And so, you know, little subtle things like expressions, you know, those are like the first things to get cut when you don't have an insane budget or an insane amount of time. And so you compensate by, you know, vocalizing those expressions. That's what the gasps and the grunts, you know, that's why all that is a thing. Now, as animation gets better, you know what I mean? We get scenes where they can play more with subtlety. I'm thinking like the Yuji and what's Big Bro's name? Hakari scene, where, okay, we have a whole lot of like rotoscoping, subtle expression work, so on and so forth, right? There's a reason. Think Witch Hat Atelier, right? It's a whole show with a bunch of little girls. They really don't do all that like stuff because, you know, they have the time, animation budget, and skill to work in those little subtleties. And it's just a more mature show in general, which I think that's what this really comes down to. But there is a reason that this is a thing. And so it's not like it's just like, you know, they're bullshitting all the way through. Like, it is sort of a functional choice as well.
Shut the fuck up! These type of anime girls are also the primary targets for this other popular anime trope where the male character and a female character are casually hanging out, but then suddenly one of them supposedly trips and then they end up playing a game of Twister, and somehow, some way, the male character ends up touching.
We already talked about this one too. I mean, yeah, it happens. You know, it doesn't happen that much anymore. But if this is how you're going to progress things, thank you for the blessings. If this is how you're going to progress things, I'm not mad at it. I do think it is a good analog, especially if you're talking about like teenage romance, right? It is a good analog. And it's one of those things you can forget, like the target audience of the shit you're watching, right? But if you're talking about teenage romance, like little ass like brushes of contact and stuff do be like the awkward shit that you experience. And so this is just that anime-fied and brought up to 100. And I almost see a bit of a contradiction in the video, right? Where it's like, you know what I mean? You don't want overreactions from little events, like, which I agree, that shit does get annoying, but you don't want overreactions from little events like a hug or whatever, but you also don't want over-exaggerated, you know, shit like this happening to progress the romance forward. Like, I feel like you just gotta accept that, especially if you're watching romance anime, it's just gonna be inherently exaggerated, you know?
Touching her or landing on her in some weird way, and then one of two things will proceed to happen. Either someone will walk in on this absolutely buffoonery and create a stupid ass misunderstanding, which will end up discombobulating the plot for an episode or two, or the girl will start screaming in autotune like Travis Scott and call him a freaky ass dude. Like, bro, this trope is a whole damn conundrum. There's actually nothing you can do about it except turning off your computer. This shit is like watching the Chicago Bears any Sunday night. It's a hard watch every single time. And bro, these damn tropes are everywhere. And
I don't think that particular one is I never found it that bad or annoying. I mean, I think I find the repetitive of it to be what's most annoying. Like, you could see it coming. But apart from that, I don't, like, it's never been something that bothered me that much. Now, if you get into like ecchi territory where they're getting all weird with it and like doing like little weird shots and overdoing the touch, it's like, okay, now that's weird because of how you're doing it. But like in Dandadan, for example, in Dandadan, I didn't find it bad because it's a romance anime, but it's also a comedy anime, so they're going to play up these sort of goofy scenarios like that, you know what I'm saying?
it is damn near a guarantee that you will end up seeing this shit at some point when you try to watch anime. And speaking of OD anime girl voices, this next trope kind of goes hand in hand with them. Second trope that absolutely needs to go are the tsunderes. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this or whatever.
I can't let niggas take away tsunderes. I'm sorry. Here's what I'll say. I'm not even going to get into it that much. I think the first romance anime you watch is going to affect what relationship dynamics within anime you find entertaining. For me, that was Toradora. All right? That's like tsundere, not ground zero, but like modern tsundere. That's like tsundere ground zero. I've always found it to be an entertaining trope up to a point. I think you got to add nuance. Here's why I actually like the tsundere trope. All right. If we're going with like all the different 𝙏𝙖 tropes, you know, all the little boxes they try to put girls into in anime, I think tsundere is the most likely to give you an interesting character because they usually at least explore why they keep this guarded wall up, why they put this mask on, right? And so that at the very least gives you 2 layers of character to explore. I think in anime, when a lot of tropes and you know, these anime girls be simplified into one trope, a lot of times it's just like, oh yeah, the happy girl is happy, the sad girl is sad, the quiet girl is quiet, whatever. I think with tsundere, with tsundere, they're gonna give you a little bit more. You know, if we're looking at like lowest common denominator. Obviously, a well-written series can turn any of these tropes into something entertaining. With that said, I had to learn IRL. You can't. There was a point in like, let's say not a decade ago. I'm not that old. There was a point close to a decade ago where my taste in anime dynamics was affecting my taste in women. Don't go after real life people, men or women, whatever you're into. Do not go after real life people who are up and down like tsunderes, bro. That's bad looks. That's horrible looks. Do not do it. But apart from that, I'm not mad at this trope at all, bro.
I genuinely can't stand this character trope because I've seen it so many fucking times. To all the people,
that's
who
fair.
Don't
It is
know
very,
what
it is
tsundere
very
is,
common. It is very common, but I do think it's like a never-ending cycle. It's common because it's popular. I think because it's the best, but it's common because it's popular, which makes more of them made, which makes it more popular, which makes more of it made. And also you got to take into account a lot of these anime kind of like, a lot of them go like in terms of sales and like readership, they plummet the moment their characters get together. Right. And it kind of sucks, right? Because as I've been in a relationship the past 4 years, damn near, I have been looking for more series that explore like currently being in a relationship, which is hard to find because these series just plummet the moment the characters get into their relationship, which I get, right? I get because, you know what I mean? I think one of the most exciting experiences in the human experience is the feeling of falling in love. I think the feeling of falling in love is a lot more exciting than the feeling of sustaining love. And so you're going to want to make a show about something that's more exciting. And I think tsunderes are good for this formula because they add a bit more of a barrier to this relationship happening. You know what I mean? It basically buys for time because you got to get through the tsundere wall before you get to their like real final boss, like what, you know, their actual personality. What's good, Ghost? And so, yeah, I think that's why the tsundere trope is so common. I can't agree with bro though, that it is very common. Like I don't even watch romance anime no more because of how common it is. I feel like I've seen it all damn near.
Are characters who have this weird inability to communicate their feelings like a normal person and get easily flustered. So instead of communicating their feelings, they hit their significant.
Okay, yeah. The physical contact shit gotta go though. That shit gotta go. Tiger was whooping that nigga ass. It was a different era. It was like 2007, 2008. We can't be hitting on niggas in the big 26, bro. That's bad looks.
Like, bro, this gotta be abuse or something straight up. Cause what the fuck? To be honest, if someone was watching anime for the first time and there's a girl tsundere in there, there's a 90% chance that they are going to stop watching that shit. Cause, bro, who would want to watch some bullshit show that has a...
I don't think that's the case. I do think it is a filter for a certain type of audience. But I do think most people approach these shows knowing it's exaggerated, right? And so like niggas know like, okay, this show isn't actually promoting physical abuse. It's basically showing a caricature of a certain type of person, over exaggerating the way they act.
Character that whenever they get flustered around the huzz, they turn as bright as a lie detector and say some stupid shit like, it's not like I like you or anything, Baka. Like, holy fuck, just wrap it up. Nobody wanna watch that shit. And it doesn't help either that this trope is seen through almost every romance anime, so it makes it so hard to find an actual good romance anime to watch, excluding these exceptions. But what makes this shit even
okay,
worse,
like how you
every romance anime, so it makes it so hard to find an actual good romance anime to watch, excluding
I feel like these are just better written shows, bruh. These are better written shows that use the same trope. So it's not really the trope you have a problem with, it's just the quality of the show as a whole. Which is fair. But like, nah, bro. These are like, I mean, Ren a bit less so. Kaguya is meant to be like damn near a deconstruction of the trope. Ren, I think it just works because, like, I don't know, it's not like a super focal point of the series. But no, I don't know if I agree with this take, bruh. I don't know if I agree with this take as much.
these exceptions. But what makes this shit even worse is that this trope is so popularized for no reason. And because it's so popular,
I mean, it's popularized because people like it. Let's keep it a stack. It's a feedback loop. It works. People rock with it. They're going to do more.
people imitate this behavior online. And even though I know they're not
Okay, with that said, and I said it about the real people, if anyone talks like an anime character in general, how are you doing? You gotta start like, you gotta interrogate a dialogue on them in your head. Make sure you're not dealing with like a super tweaker.
being for real most of the time, at least I hope. It deadass makes me want to gouge my eyes out every time I see it. They'd also be the type of people to be the corny motherfuckers that will stutter through text unironically whenever they're trying to express how they feel. Like, bro,
Okay, I don't think no one is really doing it like no one's really doing that unironically for real. That's a whole different thing. That's like a super niche subsection of the anime community, in my opinion.
never understood this shit. How are you stuttering through text? Like, bro, you're doing this shit on purpose at that point. It does not make you look tough in the slightest. Please stop this shit. If I was ever gonna tell my homeboys some tragic news and they hit me with the damn what? Motherfucker, I am blocking your ass harder than Prime LeBron. Shut your bitch ass up. Also, let's not forget they are also male Tsunorays as well. And although they are not as bad or as popular as girl Tsunorays, both of them need to be like Lil Pump and fall the fuck off. However, this next type of trope I'm about to talk about can literally take a whole 10 out of 10 anime with the best story, animation, characters you'll ever see and turn it into the most mid pile of shit ever in an instant. This recurring trope that I'm talking about is absolutely uncalled for fan service within an anime.
Okay, yeah. I mean, again, it comes down to the type of show you're watching. If you run into this shit, very rarely will you watch a show that has a different appeal that does this bullshit right here. The only example I can think of off the dome is Fire Force. Fire Force, I watched that shit for good squabbles. I kept seeing Tamaki's like toes on my screen. I'm like, what's going on? I think this is across the board one of the tropes that most niggas watching this shit are like, yeah, this shit gotta go. But at the same time, it's like this shit is so uncommon now. You don't find this shit unless you're looking for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not really there no more. Like, if you're watching an ecchi show, what do you expect? Type shit.
I cannot vent to y'all enough how much I hate this bullshit. Cause bro, I'm a brain dead shonen anime enjoyer. So when I see milkers and cheeks just enveloping on my screen instead of straight hands being thrown, it makes me want to just turn this shit off. Cause bro, I am not watching this. Look! Let me just give y'all
Freerin do be trying to sneak it in there with the toes a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but Freerin, they didn't. I feel like they pretty far, pretty distant from the fan servicey shit. Honestly, niggas will fry you harder for fan service now. Like, I just genuinely don't think it's a problem anymore. I'm trying to scroll through my head of like modern shonen, modern popular shonen, thinking of instances of fan service. What do I think of? I think of that one scene in Demon Slayer at the hot spring, Mitsuri running down. Okay, sure. You know, JJK do be they got their shots of Yuki's buns every now and then, but JJK be doing it on the sly. Like I say, JJK does it tastefully, and they tend to only do it with their adult women, which I think is a whole different problem. And you know, that's like a cultural thing. But JJK be doing like JJK they like they throw some art to it, bruh. They throw some art to it. Chainsaw Man does it, but Chainsaw Man does it in like a meta way, where like the whole show is kind of about like, you know what I mean? There's a reason why Chainsaw Man is doing it. MHA does, especially early MHA. MHA falls into a weird place because early MHA came out early 2010s. That was arguably like peak ecchi, like, you know what I mean? That was like peak ecchi influence, high school DxD era, whatever. You know what I mean? So early MHA, I mean, you know, 25 seconds into episode 1, we got Mountain Lady talking about pleasure to make your ass acquaintance. We got Midnight as a character, whatever. But My Hero basically cut that shit out, bruh. Like late show, I feel like them, and don't get me wrong, My Hero, like, I feel like they do it pretty tastefully now too, by just having really conventionally attractive women all over the place in, you know, like tight superhero fits. So basically comics. But I feel like the killing of Midnight was low-key like Horikoshi being like, all right, bro, we turning a new leaf with that shit, bro. We done with this shit.
An example. Just look at Fire Force. Some of the most
Fire
fight
Force,
scenes I've ever seen. The characters are enjoyable, at least most of them, and a pretty decent story. And dog, don't even get me started on the sound design. That shit made me buzz. But then when you look into this shit even further, almost every episode is filled with one of the characters constantly getting sexualized and turned into this freaky ass fan service. Deadass turns a 10 out of 10 anime into a 6 out of 10.
10 out of 10 is crazy. 6 out of 10 kind of crazy too. Like, it is pretty common though in Fire Force. And it's just one character. Yeah, Fire Force suffers from that early 2010s disease, bro.
But then you look at a show like Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, a romance anime. In all honesty, you would expect some type of sexual fan service like a certain type of anime, but there's...
Yo, My Dress Up Darling hate is crazy. I feel like you're comparing two different things though. I think the thing about My Dress Up Darling, and I watched My Dress Up Darling. I didn't really get into season 2 like that. I'm not gonna hold you. I still gotta watch that. I watched season 1 when I was 18, I think 18 or 19. But I think the My Dress Up Darling fan service, there's something to be said about it. And the reason I say that is because I know a lot of women who find the fan service in My Dress Up Darling to be a lot more tasteful than the fan service in other shows for varying reasons that I'm not going to get into right now. But yeah, one, My Dress Up Darling is anime. I mean, ecchi anime. So that comes just more with the genre you're watching. 2, you're comparing Fragrant Flower with Fire Force. They're going for two different things. Or Fragrant Flower with My Dress Up Darling. I can't say Fragrant Flower. Like, you know what I mean? You're comparing like a silent voice child. I call all those like high production teen romance anime. I call them silent voice childs. But you know what I mean? Comparing FF to My Dress Up Darling, it's just two different. It's just two different things. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like forced fan service is something you start to dislike as you grow older because obviously of the characters' ages. Maybe that's one of the reasons I haven't wanted to watch My Dress Up Darling season 2. Because nigga, I'm 24 now. I'm not trying to see that. But dog, I'm not gonna hold you. I was watching a show called Ruri Rocks last year. A random like slice of life show. But the fan service is done rather tastefully, and they do it to women who are like around my age. It's like college. The main girl's like in grad school, bruh. And I'm not gonna lie, I like that allows me to re-see the vision of fan service. I'm not gonna hold you. If I know I'm going into a fan service show expecting fan service and it's of a woman around my age that I find pretty, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, that Ruri Rocks was kind of fire. I would not have watched Ruri Rocks if it wasn't for the fan service. Maybe I would. It was a really well-made show. It wasn't just fan service. But I put a couple niggas onto that shit because of the fan service. All right? So, you know? But again, yeah, I think, again, it kind of just comes down to the type of show you're watching.
There's literally none of that at all, and that's what makes this shit even better. All that happens within the show is wholesome interactions, good communications between friends. Y'all never see that often, and overall peak romance. Like, bro, I cannot stress enough that the difference between an anime adding sexual fan service in a show and then not implementing it at all is literally night and day.
Yeah, because it's two different types of shows. Like, and I think that's the problem with viewing anime as a genre instead of a medium. You compare apples to oranges. You know what I mean? Anime is a medium that tells multiple different types of stories. You know, I'm not comparing the fights in Jujutsu Kaisen to the one fight that happened in A Silent Voice, because there's two different fights, two different stories being told with those fights. Same way I'm not comparing the way Fragrant Flowers shows romance to the way that whatever else shows romance, because, like, nigga, it's you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not comparing this is damn near like comparing a softcore smut film to like a Marvel movie or like a feel good like romance movie. It's just two entirely different things. I don't feel like you know what I mean? I don't feel like the trope flows naturally between those two shows.
Literally so easy to not put any sexualization into any of these characters at any situation, yet anime still want to do this shit, and it just pisses me off. Like, bro, all that fan service can be saved and drawn by the weirdos online. Like, Twin, this is the whole reason why people think anime is weird, because so many anime are literally made for the gooner population, and it just completely throws you off when you're expecting a normal story or fight scene. And speaking of shit that throws you off, this next character trope genuinely perplexes me, because, bro, this shit shouldn't even exist. The type of trope I'm talking about that need to get absolutely bodied, the damn lollies.
Yeah, this just gotta go across the board. I'm not gonna cap.
Nah.
I don't have any dialogue for this. I don't got any dialogue for this. I agree.
From all these damn anime tropes that I've said so far, shit, this might be the type of trope that Dave is into, allegedly. But deadass, bro, there is no reason for characters that, despite having the age of mature adults, or in some cases they are somehow thousands of years old, to look like literal children. And bro, the people or person that created the concept of this need to be jailed for eternity. Like, I can't be the only one weirded out by this trope. If anything, everybody should be weirded out by
that. Means no Beatrice. Honestly, I feel like Beatrice would work just as well as like a normal sized, just like Tsundere. That is one of my biggest criticisms with ReZero. I love the series, but I gotta just plug my ears when they start talking about the little girl user. So like, I'm not even mad if Beatrice has to go with that.
This trope. There is literally no reason for this trope to exist at all. Why does it exist in the first place? And it gets crazier when you find out there are people on the internet, including but not limited to your dirty ass Reddit and Discord mods, that will try to defend this trope with their life or even justify liking this shit. Like, bro, they can let all the comments of them being told to take a shower fly over their head, but God forbid you say something about their quote-unquote waifu that's a 3,000-year-old demon, but she looks like a whole ass child. Saying some shit like, well, even though she looks like she just graduated.
Yeah, nah. I mean, I don't got any dialogue for this trope. This is probably the one trope in the video that I'm fully in agreement with. Yo, nuke that shit. Nuke that shit. Yeah. That's all I can say about that.
Graduated from elementary school. Technically, she's over the age of 18, so it's okay. No, Twin. She looks like she just got done watching Coco Melon. The only thing that you are justifying is that you were trying to pick up a cupcake. Oh, EDP head ass. You are a weirdo. Get the fuck out of my face. Like, Twin, if I ever walk up to someone and we end up conversating about anime and they grown ass start saying weird shit like, Shiro from No Game No Life is my waifu, I am giving you the biggest death stare known to man, is smacking you up the back of your head. Cause what is wrong with you? In conclusion, fuck these damn weird ass, lame ass anime trolls, bruh. They stupid as hell.
Okay. I agree with 1 out of the 4 tropes listed have to go. Honestly, that's the only one. The last one was the only one I really across the board, I'm like, yeah, I could do without that one entirely. The rest of them, I think this video could be separated into two types of tropes. The L word trope, which I'm just like, yeah, okay, fuck that. Yep, throw that to the side. And then just people being embarrassed to watch anime that are over exaggerated, bruh.